Hello, and welcome. Have you ever felt that sudden, hot flush of embarrassment when you mispronounce a simple English word in front of others? Maybe you said sheep but it sounded a bit too close to something else, or you confidently ordered a croissant only to be met with a puzzled stare. I've been there, and let me tell you, it's a universal experience for anyone learning this beautiful, baffling language. But what if I told you that the key to unlocking clear, confident English pronunciation has been hiding in plain sight all along? It's not about memorizing 1,000 complex rules, it's about truly understanding the 26 familiar characters we call the English alphabet. That's right, those same letters you learned as a child hold profound secrets that can transform your speaking ability. I'm your guide on this journey, and together, we're going to explore every nook and cranny of this alphabet, from the deceptively simple A to the always intriguing Z. We'll uncover historical quirks, practical tips you can use immediately, and little-known facts that make pronunciation click into place. This isn't just a lesson, it's a detective story where we solve the mysteries of English sounds one letter at a time. So, get comfortable, open your ears, and let's begin this adventure. I promise you, by the end of our time together, you'll never look at these 26 letters the same way again. They are more than just symbols, they are the building blocks of communication, and mastering their sounds is the first step to speaking English with the confidence and clarity you've always wanted. Let's start at the very beginning, a very good place to start, as the song goes. But before we dive into the first letter, I want you to forget everything you think you know about the alphabet. Why? Because the way we typically recite it, A, B, C, D, is almost useless for pronunciation. The names of the letters are often completely different from the sounds they make in words. Think about it, the letter is called I, but when was the last time you actually said I in a word? Almost never. Its sounds are far more varied, like an apple, ace, car, or about. This disconnect is the root of so much confusion, and it's our first major insight. Today, we're going to bridge that gap. We'll learn not just the letter names, but more importantly, the multitude of sounds each letter can represent. I'll share a crucial tip right now: always focus on the sound, not the name. The name is just a label, the sound is the soul. This mental shift alone will accelerate your learning dramatically. Ready? Let's meet our first character, the letter A. Our next character is the letter B. Now, B often feels like a reliable friend, doesn't it? It's called B, and thankfully, its sound is very close to its name. You make this sound by pressing your lips together and releasing a small, vocalized puff of air. Listen. You can feel the vibration in your vocal cords. This is what we call a voiced bilabial plosive. But don't let the technical term scare you, just think of it as a lip-popping sound with voice. You'll find this dependable sound in words like book, baby, and table. However, even reliable B has its moments of silence, and this is a crucial piece of information that often trips up learners. Look at the word debt. Why is the B silent? Or doubt? Or subtle? This isn't random, it's a fossil of history. Centuries ago, scholars, influenced by Latin, inserted a B into the spelling of words like debt, from French, to link it to the Latin debitum. They changed the spelling, but they never changed the pronunciation. So the B has been sitting there silently for hundreds of years, a ghost of a scholarly decision. This is why knowing a bit of history can save you from pronunciation pitfalls. When you see MB at the end of a word, like in lamb, comb, or thumb, the B is almost always silent. Your lips come together for the M, but you do not release the B sound. practice that lamb, calm, thumb. It feels strange at first, but it's correct. So, while B is generally straightforward, its silent partnership with M is a rule you must internalize. Let's practice the voiced p sound with a few tricky pairs. Repeat after me, berry and very. Do you feel the difference? Berry uses that voiced lip pop, while very uses your teeth and lower lip for a continuous sound. Another pair, bribe and rive. Mastering this distinction is vital for clarity. So, B is mostly your steadfast ally, but always be on the lookout for those historical ghosts that make it disappear. Now we arrive at a letter that is truly a shapeshifter, a character with a split personality. I'm talking about the letter C. By itself, the letter C has no unique sound of its own. It's a chameleon, always borrowing its sound from its neighbors, either S or K. This is a fascinating and sometimes frustrating quirk of the English alphabet. Think about it, in the word city, the C sounds exactly like an S. But in cat, it has the hard sound of a K. And in chair, it teams up with H to create a completely new sound, ch. So how do you know which sound to use? Here is a tremendously helpful rule that will save you countless errors. When the letter C is followed by an E, I, or Y, it almost always makes the soft sound. Say these words: ceiling, circle, cycle. Do you hear the hissing S sound? This is because these front vowels, E and I, and the semi-vowel Y, soften the C. Conversely, when C is followed by a, O, U, or a consonant, it makes the hard K sound. Try these: car, coat, cup, clock. It's a reliable pattern. But of course, English loves exceptions. The word ocean uses C with an E, but it creates that special SH sound because of the influence of the following letters. And then there are words like muscle where the C is completely silent. This historical messiness is why C is often considered redundant. The great writer George Bernard Shaw famously pointed out that we could spell fish as goatee, using GH from enough, O from women, and TI from nation. It was a joke to highlight the absurdity of English spelling, and the letter C is a prime culprit. But instead of fighting it, we can learn its patterns. Let's practice a minimal pair to cement the two main sounds of C. Repeat after me: price and prick. In price, the C is soft, like an S. In prick, the C is hard, like a K. This distinction is small but powerful. So remember, C is not a leader, it's a follower. Always look at the letter that comes right after it to know which mask it is wearing. Next, we meet the letter D. It seems straightforward, right? Its name is D, and it makes that familiar sound, as in dog, day, or bed. You create this sound by placing the tip of your tongue against the ridge behind your upper teeth, building up a bit of pressure, and then releasing it with your voice engaged. This is the voiced counterpart to the T sound. But D has layers that are crucial for understanding natural spoken English, especially when it appears in the most common grammatical ending, the past tense ed. This is where many learners understandably get confused. The past tense ending ed has 3 different pronunciations: t, ended. How do you know which one to use? It all depends on the final sound of the verb's base form. Here is a powerful rule you can apply instantly. If the base verb ends in an unvoiced sound like p, k, sh, sh, or ch, ch, the ed ending is pronounced as ate. Think of walked, kissed, washed. Your vocal cords don't vibrate, it's just a quick puff of air. If the base verb ends in a voiced sound, like p, k, z, f, or any vowel sound, the ed is pronounced as aid. Examples include robbed, logged, loved, played. You use your voice here. Finally, if the base verb already ends in ate or ade sound, we add a whole extra syllable id. This happens in wanted, decided, needed. We need that vowel to bridge the two similar sounds. Mastering this rule will make your past tense verbs sound incredibly natural. But D has another trick: it can be silent. In the common word Wednesday, we actually say Wednesday, completely dropping the first D. And in handkerchief, the D silently disappears. It's also often barely audible in words like grandmother in fast speech. Let's practice the chord sound with a minimal pair. Repeat after me, day and they. For day, your tongue taps behind your teeth. For they, your tongue is between your teeth for the voice th sound. This distinction is fundamental for clarity. So, while D appears dependable, its behavior in grammatical endings and certain words requires an attentive ear. And now, we turn our attention to the workhorse of the English alphabet, the letter E. More than just a letter, E is a cornerstone, the most frequently used character in the entire language. But its power goes far beyond mere frequency. E is a master conductor, silently orchestrating the sounds of the words around it. Its most famous role is the magical silent E or bossy E at the end of words. This single letter, without making a sound itself, has the power to change the vowel sound in the middle of the word and can give a voice to a consonant that would otherwise be silent. Think of cap. That A has a short, clipped sound. But add a silent E to the end, and it becomes cape. The A now says its own name, transforming into a long vowel. This pattern is everywhere. Kit becomes kite, hop becomes hope, tub becomes tube. It's a fundamental rule of English phonics. But E's own pronunciations are wonderfully varied. It can be the long E, E, as in he, be, or even. It can be the short E, as in bed, let, or head. And then, in an enormous number of unstressed syllables, E reduces to the most common vowel sound in English, the schwa, a. This is a quick, relaxed, neutral sound you hear in the first E of the E in taken, or the A in about. Mastering the schwa is perhaps the single biggest step you can take towards a natural, fluid rhythm in your speech. It's the sound of efficiency. Furthermore, E teams up with other vowels to create entirely new sounds, like in see, pie, or new. It can even be silent in the middle of words, like in every or vegetable. Historically, many of these silent E's were actually pronounced centuries ago, and their ghosts remain in our spelling, forever shaping the words we speak today. Let's practice the two main sounds of E. Repeat after me, met and meet. In met, your jaw is more open, and the sound is short. In meet, your tongue is high and forward, and the sound is long. This distinction is critical. So, respect the letter E. It may be small, but it is a mighty force that dictates the very rhythm and sound of our words. Now we confront one of the most deceptively tricky letters in the entire alphabet, F. On the surface, it seems simple. Its name is EF, and its primary sound is the unvoiced F, a soft, breathy noise created by gently placing your top teeth on your bottom lip and pushing air through. You can feel the air on your hand if you hold it in front of your mouth. This sound appears in words like fish, fun, and leaf. It is a consistent and reliable friend. However, the intrigue of F lies not in its own sound, but in the fact that this exact same sound can be represented by two completely different letter combinations, PH and GH. This is where history crashes into our modern pronunciation. The PH digraph, making the F sound, comes directly from Greek. Words like philosophy, phone, and physics have Greek roots, and we preserved the PH spelling in English to reflect their origin, even though we simply safe. It's a direct link to the ancient world. Then there is GH, a truly baffling pair of letters. Historically, GH represented a guttural sound that has since vanished from Standard English, like the CH in Scottish loch. In most modern words, GH is now either silent or pronounced as f. It is silent in words like though, through, and light, but it stubbornly makes an f sound in words like laugh, enough, and tough. There is no perfect rule here, it is a collection of patterns you must gradually learn. This is why words like though, through, thought, and tough are so difficult for learners. Remember this tip. When you see GH at the end of a word, it often makes the f sound, as in laugh and enough. But when it's in the middle, it's often silent, affecting the vowel before it, as in night or sight. Let's practice the core f sound with a vital minimal pair. Repeat after me, fan and van. For fan, the sound is unvoiced, just air. For van, it is voiced, with your vocal cords vibrating. Mastering this distinction prevents confusion between words like fairy and very. Next, we encounter the letter G, a character with a truly dual nature. It's called G, but it rarely says that. Instead, it vacillates between two primary sounds, a hard guttural stop and a soft, buzzing hum. This is its great dichotomy. The hard G is a voice sound made by raising the back of your tongue to the soft palate, briefly stopping the air, and then releasing it with voice. You hear this robust sound in words like go, game, and big. It's a confident, solid sound. However, when G is followed by an E, I, or Y, it most often softens into the J sound, which is exactly the same sound as the letter J. Think of gem, giant, and Jim. Do you hear that soft, almost gentle buzz? This pattern exists due to historical sound changes where these front vowels cause the consonant to palatalize, or move forward in the mouth. But, as with all things English, exceptions abound. The words get, give, and girl defiantly retain the hard G sound despite being followed by E or I. There is no perfect rule for these, they are common words you must commit to memory. Furthermore, G can be part of the silent GH duo we discussed, as in though, or it can be completely silent itself when it appears before an N at the beginning or end of a word. In nat, na, and sign, the G simply disappears from pronunciation. This silent G is a relic of our Germanic linguistic past. Another crucial role for G is in the digraph NG, as in sing. This is not simply an N followed by a G, it is a distinct single sound, a velar nasal represented by ing. Your tongue is in the same position as for agurk, but the air escapes through your nose. Practice this, song, long, ring. Avoid the temptation to pronounce a hard G afterwards. Saying sing G is a common error. The letter G, therefore, demands careful attention. You must always consider its position and the letters that surround it to know which of its personalities is being presented. Let's practice the two main sounds. Repeat after me, gate and jail. For gate, the sound is made at the back of your mouth. For jail, the sound is made with the blade of your tongue against the hard palate. This distinction is essential for clarity. Now we approach a letter that is defined by its silence, its absence, and its subtle power. I'm speaking of the letter H. Its name is H, a word that itself begins with a silent H, which is our first clue to its enigmatic nature. The standard sound for H is that gentle, breathy exhalation, the unvoiced glottal fricative. You create it by simply breathing out with a slight constriction in your throat, as in hat, house, and hello. It is the sound of air. But the true story of H is not about its sound, it's about when it chooses to remain silent. This happens in a significant number of very common words. In words like our, honest, and air, the H is completely silent, and we glide directly into the vowel sound. This is often because these words entered English from French, where the H is not pronounced. Then there are the grammatical words like he, her, his, and have, where in connected speech, the H is frequently dropped. We say, tell him I saw her, instead of tell him I saw her. This is not lazy speech, it is the natural rhythm and flow of English. However, this creates one of the most common challenges for learners, knowing when to use a or an. The rule is based on sound, not spelling. You use it before a consonant sound, and in before a vowel sound. Since a silent H is followed by a vowel sound, we say an hour, an honest man. But with a pronounced H, we say a house, a hero. This is a small rule with a huge impact on your grammatical accuracy. Furthermore, H is indispensable in creating digraphs, pairs of letters that make one sound. It teams up with C to make shin share, with S to make shin ship, and with T to make the two TH sounds, both the voice thin and the N voice thin think. In these partnerships, H loses its individual identity completely, becoming part of a new phonetic team. So, the letter H is a lesson in context and subtlety. It is a breath that can give a word its character or vanish without a trace, shaping the language from the shadows. We now arrive at a letter of immense importance and surprising versatility, the vowel I. It is a letter with a truly dual soul, capable of representing two core vowel sounds that are worlds apart. Its name is I, and this long I sound, the diphthong I, is a journey your mouth takes from a wide, open position to a relaxed smile. You hear it in words like ice, time, and light. But I is equally known for its short sound, I, a quick, relaxed, and high vowel as in sit, bin, and wish. The difference between these two sounds is not just length, it's a completely different mouth shape and tongue position. Mispronouncing them can lead to confusion between words like ship and sheep, though we'll get to that later with E. The rule governing this change is often the same as with other vowels. A closed syllable, typically ending in a consonant, usually has the short sound bin, while a syllable ending with a vowel, often because of a silent E, makes the long sound bine. But I has another, more subtle role. In unstressed syllables, it frequently reduces to the schwa, or a shorter sound. Listen to the second I in possible or the first I in terrible. It becomes a quick, neutral murmur. This reduction is key to sounding natural and fluent. Furthermore, I is a silent partner in many words. In business, the I is silent, we say business. This is a historical fossil where the Middle English word biciness evolved in pronunciation but not in spelling. I also teams up with other vowels to create new sounds, as in field, longy, height, longi, or captain, schwa. It even forms the core of the ubiquitous suffix ing, where the I is often pronounced as a short but can weaken further in rapid speech. Let's practice the two primary sounds of I with a critical minimal pair. Repeat after me, bit and beat. For bit, your tongue is high and forward, but your jaw is slightly more open and relaxed. For beat, your tongue is high and tight, and your lips are stretched into a smile. Mastering this distinction is fundamental. The letter I, therefore, is a shapeshifter, its identity shaped by stress, position, and the company it keeps. Our journey brings us to a letter with a relatively recent passport into the alphabet, but one that carries a distinct and powerful sound, the letter J. Its name is J, and its sound is the voiced affricate j. This is not a simple sound, it is a combination of a quick stop followed by a fricative. You create it by placing the tip of your tongue against the hard ridge behind your upper teeth, building pressure, and then releasing it into the buzzing sound of the ZH sound, all while your vocal cords vibrate. It is the sound you hear in jump, joy, and major. What is fascinating about J is that this sound is also represented by the soft G, as we discussed earlier, in words like gem and giraffe. This overlap is a source of spelling challenges, but for pronunciation, it is a consistency you can rely upon. Historically, J began its life as a graphical variant of the letter I. In medieval manuscripts, a longer form of I was often used at the end of words, and this eventually evolved into a separate letter with its own sound. This is why J is one of the youngest letters in our alphabet. Its sound is also quite rare across the languages of the world, which is why it can be challenging for many learners. A common substitution is to use the voice sound y, as in yes, for the English J. This turns joke into yoke and jeep into yeep, which can cause significant confusion. To prevent this, remember that for the E sound, your tongue is high and flat, while for the J sound, your tongue tip is actively involved in creating that initial stop and release. Another crucial point is that J is almost always a voice sound. It does not have a common unvoiced counterpart in English. Let's practice this distinct sound with a minimal pair that highlights the common error. Repeat after me, joke and yoke. For joke, your tongue touches the roof of your mouth. For yoke, it stays high and flat without touching. This precise articulation is what gives J its unique character and makes it stand out as a bold and energetic letter in our phonetic lineup. Now we meet the silent assassin of the alphabet, the letter K. Its name is K, and its sound is the sharp, unvoiced velar plosive K. You make this sound by raising the back of your tongue to your soft palate, blocking the airflow, and then releasing it in a quick, breathy burst. It is the sound in kite, key, and like. On the surface, K seems straightforward, almost redundant, because it shares its core sound with the hard C. So why does English need both? The answer lies in history, pattern, and clarity. K often takes over the K sound when it precedes the front vowels E and I, where C would normally soften to ns. This is why we have keg and kid instead of seg and sid, which would likely be mispronounced. But the most captivating story of K is its role as a silent partner. In words beginning with KN, the K is utterly silent. We say night, no, and nay for night, no, and ni. This was not always the case. Centuries ago, that K was pronounced, a guttural sound that has gradually faded from use, leaving its ghost in the spelling. This silent K is a direct window into the Old English pronunciation of our language. In the modern day, K asserts itself boldly in borrowed words from other languages, adding an exotic and unmistakable crispness. Think of kangaroo from Australian Aboriginal languages, kayak from Inuit, or karma from Sanskrit. It is a letter that travels well. Furthermore, K teams up with H in the digraph KH, found in words like khaki and Kahn, where it represents a guttural sound similar to the German CH in Bach, though it is often simplified to a standard Kin English pronunciation. Let's practice the cork sound with a vital voicing distinction. Repeat after me, coat and goat. For coat, the sound is unvoiced, just air. For goat, it is voiced, with your vocal cords vibrating. This contrast between K and G is essential. So, while K may seem simple, it is a letter of historical depth and phonetic precision, a rebel that often appears where C cannot be trusted. We now turn to a letter that is elegant and lyrical, the letter L. Its name is L, and it represents what is called a liquid consonant, a sound that flows smoothly. The standard L sound, the light L, is made by placing the tip of your tongue against the alveolar ridge behind your upper teeth and allowing the voice to flow around the sides of the tongue. You hear this clear, forward sound in words like love, light, and please. However, L has a darker, more velarized counterpart that is crucial for natural pronunciation. This is the dark L, represented by the phonetic symbol L. For this sound, you make the same tongue-tip contact, but you also raise the back of your tongue towards the soft palate, creating a thicker, more resonant sound. This dark L is used when L appears at the end of a word or before a consonant. Listen to the difference. Light has a light L, while full has a dark L, say feel, call, milk. Can you feel the difference in the resonance at the back of your mouth? Mastering this distinction is a subtle but powerful step towards sounding like a native speaker. Furthermore, L can be silent, and these are often high-frequency words you must memorize. In walk, talk, could, and have, the L completely disappears from pronunciation. This silence is usually a result of historical sound changes where the pronunciation simplified over centuries while the spelling remained fixed. Another fascinating role of L is its function as a vowel marker in words like table, little, and bottle. Here, the L creates a syllabic consonant, forming a syllable without a clear vowel sound. It is the sound of the syllable itself. This is why these words are not pronounced tabla but rather tabiel, with the L sound completing the word. Let's practice the two L sounds. Repeat after me, leaf and feel. For leaf, the sound is forward and light. For feel, the sound is darker, resonating at the back. Paying attention to the position of L within a word will guide you to the correct articulation, making your speech flow with a new level of authenticity and grace. We now approach a letter of profound simplicity and resonance, the letter M. Its name is M, and its sound is the voiced bilabial nasal. This sound is one of the first sounds humans make, and its production is beautifully straightforward. You simply close your lips and allow the voice to hum through your nose. It is a continuous, resonant sound that you can hold indefinitely, as in mother, time, and summer. Unlike many of its alphabetical siblings, M is remarkably consistent. It very rarely is silent, and it does not change its sound based on the letters around it. This makes it a pillar of reliability in the often chaotic landscape of English pronunciation. However, its consistency does not make it unimportant. The M sound is a cornerstone of English rhythm and melody. When we hum in agreement, we use the sound hum, which is essentially just the M sound. Furthermore, M plays a critical role in the phonetic concept of syllabic consonants. In words like prism or rhythm, the M can form its own syllable without the need for a vowel. We say prizm, not prizm, with the M sound carrying the final syllable. This is a subtle but advanced aspect of fluent speech. Historically, M has deep roots, and its stability is reflected in its form and function across millennia. It is also part of the digraph MB, where, as we learned with B, the B is often silent, as in lamb and comb, leaving the M sound to stand alone. A crucial tip for learners is to ensure you fully close your lips for the M sound. Sometimes, under the influence of other languages, speakers may not achieve full closure, resulting in a sound that is closer to a nasalized vowel or an N. This can blur words like mine and nine. Let's practice the distinct resonance of M with a minimal pair that highlights this. Repeat after me, mine and nine. For mine, your lips are firmly closed, and the sound resonates through your nose. For nine, your tongue is against your teeth ridge, and the nasal sound is directed there. This clear distinction is vital for intelligibility. the letter M, therefore, is a humble giant, consistent, foundational, and essential to the very hum of our language. We now meet a close cousin of M, the letter N. Its name is N, and its sound is the voiced alveolar nasal. To create this sound, you place the tip of your tongue against the alveolar ridge behind your upper teeth, just as you do for D and T, but instead of releasing a plosive, you allow the voice to flow continuously through your nose. It is a smooth, resonant sound found in now, ten, and winner. While N is generally dependable, its story becomes fascinating when we examine its interactions with other sounds. The most critical of these is the NG digraph, as in sing, long, and ring. As we touched on with G, this is not an N followed by a G, it is a distinct single sound, the velar nasal. For this sound, the back of your tongue raises to the soft palate, blocking the oral cavity, and the sound resonates solely through the nose. This is a crucial distinction for clarity. Saying sin versus sing requires a conscious shift from the front of the mouth to the back. Another important variation is the dental N, which occurs when N comes before a TH sound. In words like tenth or month, the tongue anticipates the upcoming TH sound, and the N is produced with the tongue tip against or near the teeth, not the alveolar ridge. This subtle co-articulation makes the transition between sounds much smoother. Furthermore, N can be silent, most notably in the extremely common digraph MN at the end of words. In autumn, column, and hymn, the N is silent, and the M sound stands alone. This is a spelling pattern rooted in Latin and Greek origins. Like M, N can also be a syllabic consonant, forming a syllable without a vowel, as in button or cotton, where we naturally say but-N and cot-N. Let's practice the core distinctions. Repeat after me, thin and thing. For thin, your tongue is forward for the N. For thing, the back of your tongue is raised for the NG. Another pair, sinner and singer. The N in sinner is alveolar, while the NG in singer is velar. Mastering these nuances ensures that your pronunciation is not just correct, but naturally precise. The letter N, therefore, is a reliable friend that adapts gracefully to the company it keeps. We now arrive at a vowel of immense power and staggering variability, the letter O. It is a chameleon of sound, perhaps the most unpredictable of all the vowels. Its name is O, representing the long O sound, a diphthong that glides from O to O, as in go, note, and open. But O can embody so many other sounds. It can be the short O, ah, a deep, open sound as in hot, lot, and stop. It can be the ah sound, as in law, saw, and talk, though for many speakers, this sound is merging with the long O. It can even make the short U sound, as in sun, love, and money. And, like other vowels, in unstressed syllables it readily reduces to the schwa, as in the first O of condition or the second O in potato. This incredible range is why O is often a major challenge for learners. The spelling offers little consistent help. Consider the word women, the O is pronounced as a short I. Why? The answer lies in a historical vowel shift that occurred centuries ago, permanently divorcing the pronunciation from the spelling. Furthermore, O is a key player in numerous vowel teams. It combines with A to form the O in boat, with E to form the U in shoe, with I to create the O in coin, and with U to make the O in house. Each of these digraphs creates a unique sound that must be learned. A crucial and often overlooked role of O is its function in modifying other letters. The O in people is silent, but it changes the E from a short to a long sound. Similarly, the O in leopard is part of the EO vowel T, making a short E sound. Let's practice some of the core sounds of O with minimal pairs. Repeat after me, not and note. For not, the sound is short and open. For note, it is a long, gliding sound. Another pair, caught and caught. For many speakers, these are distinct, with caught using a and caught using a. The letter O demands respect and careful listening. It is a vowel that refuses to be confined to a single box, instead representing the rich and complex history of English itself. We now come to a letter of pure, unvoiced power and precision, the letter P. Its name is P, and its sound is the unvoiced bilabial plosive P. You create this sound by pressing your lips firmly together, building up air pressure in the oral cavity, and then releasing it in a quick, explosive puff of air. It is the sound in pen, paper, and cup. On the surface, P seems beautifully simple. But its true complexity lies not in the sound itself, but in a subtle phonetic phenomenon called aspiration. This is a game-changing concept for clarity. When P appears at the beginning of a stressed syllable, it is accompanied by a strong burst of air. Hold your hand in front of your mouth and say pin. You should feel a distinct puff of air on your palm. This is an aspirated P. Now, say spin. Do you feel how the puff of air is much weaker or even absent? That is an unaspirated P. This is not a different sound in English, but it is a critical detail that makes your speech sound natural and authentic. Furthermore, P can be silent, and these are often words with challenging spellings. In words derived from Greek, the initial P in the digraph PS is silent, as in psychology, pterodactyl, and pneumatic. This silent P is a direct imprint of their classical origins. P also forms the indispensable digraph PH, which we discussed with F, representing the sound in words of Greek origin like philosophy and phone. Another fascinating role of P is in the digraph PT, which, beyond the initial silent P, represents a cluster that can be tricky, as in helicopter or reception. Let's practice the corp sound with its voiced counterpart to solidify the distinction. Repeat after me, pat and bat. For pat, the sound is unvoiced and breathy. For bat, it is voiced, with your vocal cords vibrating. This contrast is fundamental. Also, practice the aspiration, pin with a puff, and spin without. So, while P may appear to be one of the simplest letters, its mastery requires an understanding of its explosive power and the subtle, breathy rules that govern its behavior in different parts of a word. We now come to a letter of pure, unvoiced power and precision, the letter P. Its name is P, and its sound is the unvoiced bilabial plosive P. You create this sound by pressing your lips firmly together, building up air pressure in the oral cavity, and then releasing it in a quick, explosive puff of air. It is the sound in pen, paper, and cup. On the surface, P seems beautifully simple. But its true complexity lies not in the sound itself, but in a subtle phonetic phenomenon called aspiration. This is a game-changing concept for clarity. When P appears at the beginning of a stressed syllable, it is accompanied by a strong burst of air. Hold your hand in front of your mouth and say pin. You should feel a distinct puff of air on your palm. This is an aspirated P. Now, say spin. Do you feel how the puff of air is much weaker or even absent? That is an unaspirated P. This is not a different sound in English, but it is a critical detail that makes your speech sound natural and authentic. Furthermore, P can be silent, and these are often words with challenging spellings. In words derived from Greek, the initial P in the digraph PS is silent, as in psychology, pterodactyl, and pneumatic. This silent P is a direct imprint of their classical origins. P also forms the indispensable digraph PH, which we discussed with F, representing the F sound in words of Greek origin like philosophy and phone. Another fascinating role of P is in the digraph PT, which, beyond the initial silent P, represents a cluster that can be tricky, as in helicopter or reception. Let's practice the corp sound with its voiced counterpart to solidify the distinction. Repeat after me, pat and bat. For pat, the sound is unvoiced and breathy. For bat, it is voiced, with your vocal cords vibrating. This contrast is fundamental. Also, practice the aspiration, pin with a puff, and spin without. So, while P may appear to be one of the simplest letters, its mastery requires an understanding of its explosive power and the subtle, breathy rules that govern its behavior in different parts of a word. Now we confront the lion of the consonants, the letter R. This is perhaps the most complex and debated sound in the entire English language, a sound that varies dramatically across different accents. Its name is AR, but that barely scratches the surface. The most common pronunciation is the alveolar approximant, where the tongue tip curls back slightly towards the alveolar ridge without actually touching it, creating a resonant, voiced sound. You hear this in words like read, write, and very. However, the story of R is defined by one of the great divides in English, rhoticity. Rhotic accents, like most American and Irish accents, pronounce the R sound wherever it appears in spelling, at the beginning, middle, and end of words. So, they clearly say the R in car, hard, and water. Non-rhotic accents, like received pronunciation in the UK or Australian English, only pronounce the R when it is followed by a vowel. They say ca for car, hod for hard, and wada for water, but they will link the sound if the next word begins with a vowel, as in the car is becoming the chorus. This is a fundamental distinction that shapes the entire melody of an accent. Furthermore, R is a powerful influencer of the vowels that precede it, often distorting them into new sounds, as in bird, word, and nurse, where the vowel and R merge into a single syllabic sound. In many accents, this results in the schwa-like R-colored vowel, the schwar, R. Let's practice the core R sound. A common error is to trill or roll the R with the tongue tip, as in Spanish or Italian. For standard English, the tongue should not vibrate, it should simply curl back and create a smooth, continuous sound. Repeat after me, right, arrow, 3. Ensure your tongue is relaxed and does not tap the roof of your mouth. The letter R is a formidable force, a sound that gives English much of its characteristic texture and one that requires careful, conscious practice to master according to the accent you wish to emulate. We now turn to a letter of unmistakable presence and hissing subtlety, the letter S. It is a letter with a true double life, capable of producing two distinct and vital sounds. Its name is S, which begins with its unvoiced sound, the sharp, hissing made by channeling air over the groove of your tongue, as in snake, bus, and C. But S has a voiced alter ego, the buzzing sound, which uses the exact same tongue position but engages the vocal cords. You hear this sound in words like has, easy, and please. The challenge, of course, is knowing when S chooses to hiss and when it chooses to buzz. This is not random, it is governed by a powerful and reliable rule. When S appears at the beginning of a word, it is almost always unvoiced, as in sun or say. When it comes between two vowels, it is almost always voiced. Think of base versus bases, or house versus houses. This intervocalic voicing is a common pattern across languages. Furthermore, S is the default marker for plurals and possessives, and the same voicing rule applies. If the base word ends in an unvoiced sound, the S is unvoiced cats, books. If it ends in a voice sound or a vowel, the S is voiced: dogs, cars, ties. And if the base word ends in a sibilant like s, sh, ch, we add es, pronounced as in buses, boxes. But S's influence extends further. It forms the essential digraph sh for the sound in ship, the unique sound ch often with t, and it can even be silent in words like island and debris, where it remains as a fossil of spelling. Let's practice the core distinction. Repeat after me: sip and zip. For sip, the sound is unvoiced, just air. For zip, it is voiced, with a buzz. Place your hand on your throat to feel the difference. Another pair: price and prize. The letter S, therefore, is a master of disguise, its true voice revealed only by the sounds that surround it. And so we reach our final act, the letters T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. Let's begin with T. Its name is T, and its sound is the unvoiced alveolar plosive T. But T is a master of disguise. In American English, when T appears between vowels, it often softens into a quick, voiced flap, sounding very much like a soft D. This is why writer and writer can sound identical in casual speech. Furthermore, T is part of the vital TH digraph, both voiced as in this and unvoiced as in think. It can also be silent, as in castle or listen. Next is the vowel U. Its name is U, a clue to its complex nature. It can be the long U in blue, the short U in cup, or the U in put. It often forms diphthongs, as in use, you, and out. V is beautifully consistent. Its name is V, and its sound is the voiced labiodental fricative, always made with your top teeth on your bottom lip. Never confuse it with the unvoiced F or the voiced B. W is a semi-vowel. Its name is W, and its sound is W, a quick rounding of the lips as in we. It is silent in words like right and who. X is a combination letter. Its name is X, and it usually represents the X sound as in box, or X as in exam. Y is a chameleon. It acts as a consonant in yes, but more often as a vowel, taking on the sounds of I or E, as in myth, happy, or sky. Finally, Z. In British English, it's Z, in American, Z. Its sound is the vibrant voiced, as in zebra and buzz. This concludes our journey. These 26 letters are your tools. Practice them, understand their patterns, and you will unlock the door to clear, confident English pronunciation. The journey is yours to continue.